afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Hope you had a pleasant journey all the way from wherever you came from to Brighton. And we are very happy to see you. I welcome you here this afternoon to Gyan Cosmic Foundation. If you are a seeker, you have been a seeker and looking to expand your horizons, I will assure you are in the right place. You've got a teacher who is experienced in what he does, lifting people from the ground to as far as they would like to reach. Again, I'll say to you, he's a responsible teacher. Why do I say this? It is about self-realization. And when it comes to realize yourself, it's about unveiling the power that is within you. And when you are at that place, you can affect or effect things positively or negatively. So it takes his time to make sure that the motive of the individual is right. And one thing that I like about him is this also, that talk about motive, he keeps on saying it doesn't matter what the motive is. If you avail yourself and you allow yourself, sooner or later, you could find yourself in a place of converting your negative motives to positive ones. And when that is the case, then he will be the right man also to take you further. Without further ado, I'm just going to invite him to take us through this afternoon's lecture. After the lecture, there will be Q&A, questions and answers. It may relate to what you hear this afternoon. And even if it isn't about what you hear this afternoon, and you have a question that bugs you, has been bugging you for years, it doesn't matter, no holds barred. Throw it his way, and I can assure you, he will shed some light on it for you. So, respectfully and humbly, please rise to your feet with me. And we're going to welcome the great teacher of the science of realization. He will not be speaking from notes. And you will have a notebook with him. He takes his time, focuses, and brings things out from within. Therefore, you can also benefit best from what he's relaying to us if you quieten your mind, focus, and connect with where he has connected to present this thing to us. And if you do that, I can assure you, you will be, I'm going to use the word blessed. Yes, you will be blessed and raise yourself to a place of bliss too. So please put your hands together. Happy welcome.
Before you sit, simply say after me, I let go whatever blocks my peace. I let go whatever blocks my love. I let go whatever blocks my joy. I am peace itself.
I am peace itself.
I am love itself.
I am love itself.
I am joy itself.
I am joy itself.
That is what I am.
That is what I am.
Yes. Yes. Today, we are here. We have some yearning, some seeking spirit within us. But we got to know what we are seeking for. Most of the time, the mind is outward bound. It is involved with the five senses. And we connect with things outside ourselves. So the I, which wants to know, cannot be among the things to be known. And that is something we need to think about. Your eyes cannot see your eyes. Of course, we have the medium of a mirror or something. But if you go deeper, what you see in the mirror is not actually the real eyes. Because if somebody from somewhere sees your eyes or sees you in the mirror and goes straight into the mirror to attack you there, will it affect you? No. So the real you, the real eyes, cannot see the real eyes. And the same way the mind is outward bound and it cannot see that which is seen, the seer. So the seer is seeing things, but the seer is not among the things to be seen. And this is very tricky. If you are given 1 billion years to look for yourself, you will not find yourself. In fact, this subject is so tricky, so tricky. All along, we are seeking, sometimes through books, through the internet, everywhere, we're seeking. But the seeker is the one that you are seeking. That's really, really tricky. And it is really very, very unlikely that elsewhere, somewhere, you're going to find yourself. There is this story of somebody who was in the dark room, and he got out of the dark room. He realized he lost his keys. Then he saw some light far away. So he went under the light. Now there is light here. I think I can find my keys. So he goes round where there is light, looking for his keys. In actual fact, the keys are exactly where he started the journey from. So, given any number of years, he wasn't going to find the keys. He never thought the keys would be where there's no light. So he had to search for it in the lighted place. So we have this light of consciousness projected out, which we call mind. And that is the light. And it shines out, and we follow it, looking for the attributes of the real self, because we've lost it. In projecting out, then we begin to lose the connection. And because of that, the attributes of the self, which is peace, joy, love, we miss them. And we think it's outside there. So we project the light of the objective mind, and everywhere it falls, we are looking for it. We are looking for it. And in fact, it takes years, generations, and nobody is finding it. From childhood, people grow and their search begins when mind enters. When mind has not entered, there is no such thing. We much more dwell in the self. And there is a sense of innocence, beauty, love, joy. See, when you look at a baby is so attractive. Even the babies of animals, you look at them and you're amazed. The innocence, that is where the love is. That is where the peace is. That is where the joy, the bliss is. So, we have to really get the understanding what we are searching for, and we can then know how to get to it. If we actually quieten the mind, then there is opportunity to begin to think, okay, there's nothing more outside there, no projections, and then you are coming into the very self. And that is where the realization begins to dawn upon you. See? So essentially, if there must be any search, the search should be for quietening the mind. How to stop being outward bound, because that will never fulfill anything. In fact, when the seeker thinks he's seeking something out there, then forget it. The seeker is seeking just how to quieten the mind, which is outward bound. And the moment you quieten the mind, then there it is. See, what is remaining is the self. When all projections end, only the self, only the innocence. See, in fact, when you look at a baby, the baby from the word go is not involved with the outward bound yet. When sometimes you put your hand like that and the eyes cannot even see. It hasn't begun the outward game. So, even though the equipment is there for that kind of thing, but it hasn't begun using them. Then at a point, these things are activated, and baby begins to now push awareness into the eyes, and then begins to see things outward. So mind begins, and it begins to lose that innocence. So sometimes as we grow, this mind gets more and more active. And then it gets to the point we begin to be confused, because the attributes of the self, we are going farther and farther away from it. It's like we are moving away from the peace. It is not out there, it is inside here. The love, everything. So when we get back to that love, that peace, then we are nearest to the core of the other person. Because we share the same self. Let us see this example. When you look at the earth, there are a lot of projections we call plants. And all these plants are sharing one earth. See, they are rooted in one earth. Different types of plants. The grass, the oak, the mahogany, different kind of plants. But they are all rooted in the same earth. So your very core is the same core of the other person. And that's a wonderful realization. When the realization dawns upon you, then that is where you can understand the other. That is the time you can love the other. So this, we come back to the baby. The baby, until the mind enters the position in which the baby is, actually is the real home. The baby is at home. Peace. Whatever can be expanded unlimitedly is an attribute of that self. Love, when it is expanded unlimitedly, becomes an attribute. It is an attribute of that self. Peace, when it is expanded unlimitedly, it is an attribute of that self. And joy, that sometimes we call bliss, it is an expansion. When we project outward, it is energy from that same source. So bits of that love is there. Bits of that peace, bits of that joy. And because it all came from that source. And we want to sort of look for a return journey to the expanded part of these things, the peace, the love, and the joy. We want it again, but we want it outside because we project it. And it never happens. Never. It has never happened before. It is not happening now, and it will never happen. So, anytime something external pushes us into a bit of that innocence, then we're going for it strongly, because that is what we are looking for. So, people, we can go into things that push us into that innocence. Take, for example, the mating process, male-female, we come together, the sexual process, it pushes you into a temporary innocent point. And that point is very innocent, because there the activities of the mind are gone. There the emotions of anger, fear, and all those things are gone. That small point, the stress is gone. Everything the innocence, and we yearn for it. Drugs, that feeling. And people, you see how our youth, how they are looking for the right thing in the wrong place. See, they are looking for that feeling, that innocent point. It is full of bliss. So anything pushing us close to it, then we sort of absorb, we chase. Say, yes, when we can really get to the expansion of these elements, the peace, the love, and the rest, it can only happen when we come to self-realization. And once it has happened to you, you can be in this world, but you are not of this place. In the sense that you do things all right for different reasons, but not because you are looking for peace or you are looking for bliss, you are looking for this, you are having it abundantly. But then you involve in it, the world, the drama again, for a different reason altogether. You involve in it to share the love and let people realize that there is a way to expand the love, a way to expand the peace, a way to expand the joy, and it's a way to help people out. In fact, when you get to that state, it goes along with so much empowerment, because the attribute of the self is power. All energies have come from there. All these things are energies, but they are stepped down energies, projected and stepped down. So the self is the highest frequency possible. And all the other things, projections, they are lower and lower and lower and lower. And then a drama is woven out of these frequencies. And this is the drama. And we turn around to seek the expansion, but it is not inside there. It is you, the seeker. You are the one. You are the reality. It is this self that we call God. So God is not in space somewhere. God is not an outward bound thing to be sought. The forms are just the step down frequencies which have been woven, because the highest frequency, which is you, is so powerful that whatever you focus on, the lower frequencies will obey. So if you want a drama woven out of it, immediately it happens. And that is how forms have come about, and you become a witness of it. So it's like making a television to watch. So out of the lower frequencies, we have woven these things, and we are watching it, witnessing it. But when we make a mistake that we are the forms themselves, then we get a lot of deviation. And it happens over ages. We we have been inside it for long, and it takes at times a few people coming into the world to awaken that, hey, you're going too far, too far. What you are really looking for is not outside there. Whenever there is something outside there giving you that innocent point, it is so small, but it is there just to as a reminder, because if nothing is outside there, we will be totally, we will go nuts, because it's like we are lost. We don't know what to do, but somehow we get a sense of pleasure in certain things, and it gives us motivation to continue looking for it. People look for it till they drop dead, and even a minute before dropping dead, they are still looking for it. They project it outside. Tomorrow, they think they will get it. If I get this or that, I will be happy. After getting it, it's placed aside. If I get this and that, I will be happy. Then it continues. So it becomes a kind of mental attitude. And no matter what we get, we still think something must be gotten. See? And this is what is going, is the plight of the souls. Yes, everything is promissory. It's like a promissory note. It's promising you peace. It's promising you joy. It's promising you this, that. But if you were to know the trick, and you have a way to let the mind come down, then it will reveal what remains when the mind has gone down is the real self. And it is not, it is a kind of neutral thing. That's why I'm calling it innocence. But it's not neutral in the sense that it is something dead. It is vibrant neutrality. It is really alive. It is the source of everything. That's where everything you are seeing has come from. And if you can even back off a bit from the projections and experience a little bit of that self's attributes, then it is so fulfilling. So fulfilling. This amazing experience. Long time you didn't get it. That is what will come into your mind. You say, wow. So, anyway, back to the baby. The baby, when the mind begins, then other things also begin. And actually, the time of birth, the baby takes a breath, and that one is kick-started by a cry. See, the cry is purposeful because it brings out the air in the lungs and allow the breathing process to begin. And the breathing process is what really ties us to this world. The outward bound begins from there actually. And mind will be waiting for that to happen, then it will enter after a while. So this puts us in a world of polarity because you breathe in, you breathe out to balance it. And everything else that is in the projected world is going to follow suit. That is why it manifests in the forms that have polarity all the time. We have day and night, we have male, female, we have rainy season, dry season. I mean, you know, everything that is manifest conforms to polarity principle. And we can use it to advantage because the projected world, and then that is another pole, we can say, and then the world that is always there, unchanging, is a background, that is the real you. So once we know everything goes with polarity, then we have been swung into the outer. Then we have to balance it. If you don't bring balance, you'll be unsettled. You'll be unhappy. You'll be always tensed. So how do you do it? How do you do it? Once it began with the breath, then we have to go to the root where the whole thing began. So the breath in, out, in, out. So what it is doing, when you breathe in, you are pushing the outer into your field. And when you breathe out, you release it. And you come back to a balance point. So breath can be a key. Breath can be a key for us to get back to our self-realization. Mind comes in later when breath has initiated the stage. And therefore, mind is connected to breath in a special way. If you go direct to calm the mind, it won't work out. If you calm the breath, after a while, the mind follows suit because it was dependent. The mind was dependent on the breath. That's why it waited for breath before it appeared. See? So, if you have these keys, you can easily enter into the realization process. You know, when a person is leaving the body, the last thing is an outer breath, releasing the outward bound. You see, release it and comes to a balanced state and back to that balanced state. And it goes to the innocence, returning to innocence. You see, so once the human has been in the outward bound state for too long, When the pendulum has swung in one direction for too long, the balance means it has to go to the other side also. When night proceeds, it's just getting nearer to day. When day goes on, it's getting nearer to night. So mankind has been in the outward bound for so long, and the swing has to go back so that we get inward bound. And that is the seeking process. All the belief systems are outward bound in nature because they belong to the mind. If you don't have mind, the question of believing doesn't come in. So this mind has to be withdrawn in the long run because it was something that came in when something was there before. So anything which had a beginning will have an end. Whatever had a beginning will have an end. The self had no beginning, but mind had a beginning. Mind had a beginning. It will definitely have an end at some time. But when you actually have to die daily, you can die daily in the sense that, yes, now you let the mind come down, and the process, as I'm telling you, the best process, they are just like twins or something like that, the mind and the breath. But the breath is older. It came at birth, and then mind came, entered. When you were a baby at that time, where is your mind? You're just in innocence, that's all. But by and by, mind was waiting for breath, and then it also entered. Now, when you go to the breath, take this example. Like you are now listening to me. If you are doing it intently, you focus the mind, you slow down the mind. And because of that, if somebody is sitting somewhere watching you, the person will see you not breathing. You're not breathing. Your breath becomes very silent. As I'm calling attention to it now, you begin to breathe. You see, when you start breathing, you start to think. See? So, in order to slow the mind down, don't tackle the mind directly like that. You will not succeed. It will take you years, your whole lifetime. But there are techniques. So if you have to seek anything, then it is the techniques. Seek them. And if you are able to experience even a little bit of that self nature, it is more than trying to rest, to invigorate yourself no matter what you do. A little bit of that is more than years of rest. See, just an experience of that thing in a very short time is of greater value than anything else. And we need to form a lifestyle. We have to have a new lifestyle that permits us to slow down the breath, if not at all, certain times, so that the mind can calm down and the higher frequency, that is the very self, can express itself and create an aura around us, very vibrant, very potent, very powerful aura around you. So it is this aura carrying so much magnetism that will do all the things. If you get back into the zone of low frequencies, you are surrounded by this high frequency, and you become like an oasis in a very dry place. See, the outward bound is like a desert, and when you get that realization, you are like an oasis, and you move about. It's a special oasis may be at one spot, but in your case, it's a moving oasis, in a sense. You see? And when it is like that, it is amazing that wherever the oasis you go, whatever enters your field benefits, even the walls, the trees, everything passes some frequency from you. I'm trying to whip up your seeking spirit, but it has to be directed properly. It is not something outside there at all. Not outside there. You see? So we guide you so that you can go to that inner part of you, the reality. Look at the number 1. 1 can be found in all other numbers, but no number can be found in 1 unless you are breaking the 1 up. Then we can say half, quarter. Then it's not a 1, but 1 has a way of repeating itself, and that is the process that we call in creation, because it slows down frequencies and they take a little resemblance of the original, and that is what goes on, and then out of it a lot of forms are woven. Now, so we are calling some things programs. What are they? See, polarity, anything out there that we can talk about will always have polarity. So when we say problem, then it means solution, because it's polarity. So when it goes here, the pendulum goes here, it will also go here. You get into problem, you look for solution to balance it. What we are seeking is when the pendulum has stopped and it is at the center, That is a balance point. So there wouldn't be any question, there wouldn't be any answer. There wouldn't be any problem, there wouldn't be any solution. When you are at that point, you are beyond. Notice the baby. What is his problem? It is we who notice problem with it. The baby doesn't notice any problem. But we notice because we are absorbed in the pendulum play. There are cases where a child growing up and a grown-up may say, "Oh, don't go here, go there. Don't go to play with those people, they are my enemies," and so on. And before you notice, the child is playing with them. No, it's not polarity. Polarity is only beginning with the polarity. It's not absorbing polarity. So a return to the self takes you beyond such things. Happiness, distress. So in actual fact, anything which is not fully expanded can have opposite because there is space for something else. When peace, we are talking about peace in this world, it will have opposite. So that is not the peace that will satisfy you. It is always slipping from your hand for the opposite to also come. Now we are having day, but the day will slip from our hands for night to come. So that kind of happiness is not really the happiness. It will always slip away because of the balancing law. You see, when we understand these things, then we seek the balancing point. And at that balancing point, we are nearest to our real self. That is it. Most people instinctively think of the dead as powerful, because sometimes people are afraid. Any encounter with the dead, they call them ghosts and all that. Why? Because instinctively we know that when you are withdrawing from the grips of the outer, then you are getting more and more empowered. That is why with this grosser nature, you cannot pass through the wall. But then we think the ghost will pass through because functioning at a wavelength that is totally different. So even whilst we are using this gross, there are techniques for us to sort of loosen the bond, the bondage. And this is what is being sought after in religion and in every thing. So, brothers and sisters, I'm going to give you time to also ask questions. If I want to continue, I'm not looking at the time, and it may shorten the time. You may have questions, and then your questions, I want to answer them before you leave here. So, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Doctor. Hi, everybody. I hope you got a gist of what or where Doctor was taking us or is taking us. We have a platform of students that he teaches when, if you like, our term time starts. Now that is where you get the best. I mentioned earlier on he's a responsible teacher, and when it comes to public lectures like this, he would just goes ahead to want to whet people's appetite and also be responsible in what he discharges to the masses. When it comes to private tuition, it's a different ball game altogether. I promise you that. Completely different ball game altogether. Why? Because of the responsibility that should come with power or with freedom. I would encourage you to take notice of the contact numbers and also the email addresses if you want to be a part of this unique school of self-realization. Just wondering if we should take a 2-minute break now and carry on time because of time. If you have any question related to this afternoon's lecture or any other question at all, and towards the end, he even mentioned ghosts. If you have a question concerning ghosts, feel free to ask. So, if you have a question, just show me by hand, and I'll come to you. Just mention your name so that the camera will also capture what we are asking, and then I'll come back to him with microphone, and he will give you the answer to your question. If you're ready with the question, just show me by hand, and I'll come straight to you.
I think that my question is about how can we talk about the importance of slowing the breath and slowing the breathing so we can then calm the mind. However, we live in a society which pushes us to be 100 miles an hour. So my personal struggle is how do I slow down? How do I calm my breathing? How can I calm my mind? Now, I am physically forced to calm my breathing because of medical needs, but I also want to calm my breathing generally, without being forced to calm my breathing. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Thank you.
Yeah, when we get into detail, there is a connection between the breath also and the hormones in the body. You see, the whole thing is a kind of spectrum. You see, layers, you see, and from mind, breath, hormones, so you are getting grosser and grosser. So even beyond breath, we go to the hormones, and you have to balance the hormones initially. The hormones, they bring about a lot of the emotions we pass through. Each hormone is connected with a certain emotion, and that emotion always affects our breathing. When somebody is angry very seriously, it breathes, and he wants it to end. He wants to carry some action so that it will end. Anyway, so the same with fear. When there's serious fright and somebody is really afraid, is in a certain state, and the breathing is affected, and the pulse, the heart is affected, everything is affected, jammed. You see, so you don't even start exactly with the breath. For some people, they can just start with the breath because it's evolution. There are each person has reached somewhere, you see, and teacher can tell. So sometimes for some people, they have to start with balancing the hormones. Once you balance the hormones, then it's easier to automatic. It's even automatic. You see that your breath calms down. You see, and once it calms down, then your mind follows suit very easily. See? So there are guidelines to arrive at it. See? In a talk like this, sometimes certain details we can talk all. That's why he was even talking about the private lessons. You see? So, hope you get it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
How do you help a child to control their emotions? Like with a younger age, how do you help them do that?
It is just like sometimes when you are in the plane with the kids, they tell you to fasten your belt, but you have to fasten first, and then it becomes easier to do the rest. So the same actually. So if you are able to come to that state so that you become sort of stable in that state, then your frequency, your own aura becomes radiant with peace and love and joy. And because of that, they stay inside your field of consciousness, and they benefit immensely. That alone does a lot to change the kids than even the verbal approach. See, does a lot to transform people. You know, it is very subtle, but it's very potent. Then also, in that state, you are so empowered that anything belonging to the zone of low frequencies, the higher frequency can control. So when you are in that state, it is the equipment of the child. It's a spirit, but the equipment, the body, and the mind, they are all equipment. They are given the program, and you can call it to order in a sense. That is, you can focus on a better. See the child. If somebody, for example, let's say you are in relations and the partner is overcome by these emotions, temperamental, whatever. If you work on yourself and you come to that state, you can focus on your partner. You see your partner in a smiling mood, and you focus on it for a while. When you enter that state, you are empowered. So if that time you do that focusing, it's a miracle you are going to see. So you can do that with the children also.
So my name is Faustina, and I'm one of Dr. Jan's students, and I know what that has done for me to date. My question is about, because I was brought up a Christian, and I was actively involved in my church. I've invited some of my friends I met from church. And I was brought up with this belief that, I have to accept Christ or God as my savior before else if I die, you'd go to hell. My question is, heaven and hell. Does heaven and hell exist? I'm your student, I know, because I've heard from you and I've come to realize the answer, but I know it's a conversation I've had with my husband a few times about heaven and hell, when I thought, yes, there's fire, like you go to hell if you don't believe in, So that's my question. Heaven and hell, does it exist? And is it true that if we die and we don't accept we'll go to hell? And thank you.
Actually, that master never taught those things. See, Judaism. See, whatever you bring, there will be always something existing before you bring it. So it becomes like the way water is received with a container. Always the water takes the form of the container. See? So when the truth is brought, the container receiving it, sometimes when the person is gone, the focus is on the container more than the content. The essence is lost. Actually, it is amazing that when you go into a book like the Bible, in sporadic places you can find hints of the truth. But the hints, people don't even, they bypass it, they don't even understand. You see, now heaven and hell, when you are outward bound, when the absorption outward deepens, it gets you to the last point where there is a whole struggle, because inwardly you get frustrated, you will understand that the thing you've chased and chased and chased, and it's like illusion, and you're never getting it. It's like chasing your shadow, you see, and you continue. And that point is actually the hellish state. Now, when you are backing up, it's a return journey. That is why he said the prodigal son. Prodigal son, he went out there, leaving the source, leaving the home, and he was going to enjoy. And he enjoyed, but he came to a point, we call it chewing the chewed. He has chewed and chewed, the same chewing, and he's now frustrated and doesn't know what to do. And that is the hellish point. Now, when the return comes, then you get it back home, then you get to the point. The point, just like when you're boiling water, always there is a boiling point. So when you are coming back into realization, you come to the point. And that point, you are one leg in the outer, one leg inside, because you are going to merge into your source, your very self. And at that point, you are so blissful, and that is the heaven. When you pass it, you become God, because you merge, and you say, I and the Father are one. It's not that God is Father, is male, and it's not that. But because of the level of the people, the Judaism, their principles and belief systems, that is what they could understand. So you have to teach them and say like that. But the truth has nothing to do with something in space somewhere, which is hell, and something in space somewhere, which is heaven. No, these are all belief systems, and we must grow. We must grow beyond these things. He told them, get your perfection back. So he said, be ye perfect, even as the Father is. That means, come back to that perfection. You are not different from the source. See, he said, know ye not that ye are gods? You see, because as you are coming back, then you are empowered more and more. And that is what is referred to by the others as gods. You see? So you, the very person, you are a god. And he said it. But whenever he said these things, they took stones. How dare you say we are gods? You know, they couldn't understand his mission, his message. You see, be ye perfect, even as the Father is, and the people become angry. Now we say, come to God. See, so they always belittle themselves, but lo and behold, they empower some beings outside there fighting them, like the Satan, demons, and so on and so forth. So, any beings out there which can be obstacle to you is also an entangled being like you. And see, when they are more entangled, they lose the attributes of the Spirit. They lose the attributes of the Spirit, which is love, peace, joy. So they are coming up and they behave differently from that. But when you are coming back, then these things are unveiled, they are revealed. See, your journey where you have reached is what makes you compassionate, because it's a journey back. Evolution means journey back. And each soul is differently positioned. Like I told you, it's like a spectrum. So people are differently positioned. Some are yearning, and they are getting closer and closer. And some too are still far. And so those who are very far, it's just like if you are a professor and you have children in the house, your children, you want to teach them, what do? It is ABCD. So those who are very far, what they can understand, you have to be tactful. And that was what that master was doing. The essence, the real message, they were not getting it. They were not getting it. And now people don't get it. That is a deviation, serious deviation. So when he told them, seek and you will find, then he said, there is the big way and plenty are going, but it is nowhere. There is the narrow way and very few find it. He said it. You see, and there are many things he said, but he found it difficult to be direct. Otherwise, they will just take stones and do something to him. See? So it's only when you are actually evolving faster, then you start to understand all these deeper. You understand the whole things that have been going on. See? There are many other things he said. When he says seek and you will find, somewhere he came up what to seek, and he said, seek first the kingdom, and the rest that you are chasing after will all be there. You see, that means if you really back into the self, who you are, all that you are seeking externally are found there, because the essence of the seeking is peace, joy, and love. So you get it all there. See? So he went on further. There were these people called the Pharisees. They questioned him. You are always saying, kingdom, 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 where is it? Then he told them, if somebody comes and he tells you that lo and behold, it is here or there, up or down. Tell the person who it is never true. The kingdom of God is within you. And if you are a Christian, you want to find this statement, you go to Luke 17:20. So the kingdom of God is within you. They read and bypass the essence. They don't even think about it. And they still think, because he said it is not something to behold with the eyes. In that statement, he made it there. And yet, people bypass that one. And they just still believe. But all those beliefs were from Judaic system. So, brothers and sisters, usually it is not necessarily what masses are doing that means it is good, it is the right direction. No, not so. Otherwise, he wouldn't say the way is narrow. You have a scripture lying down. A whole lot is inside the scripture. But inside the scripture is telling you, seek and you will find. So if what you have to seek is inside the book, will it seek? No. It's not book matter. It's something outside book. You say, but they don't understand these things. So that is very crucial. I always tell the people, you see, you are looking for something and you go to read and there is a book telling you about that thing. It is just like you are looking for a place, like let's say we were looking for this place, Friends what? Meeting house. So if we saw the signboard and then we went to sit under the signboard, that we have reached the place. We have found it. So books, all these things are pointing truth, but it's not the truth itself. If you sit under the pointer and you don't go where the pointer is telling you, what is it? It's a deviation, it's a misunderstanding, and that is what the masses are doing. So scripture is just pointing to something extraordinary, but where it is, people don't pause for a moment to look for it. They think it is just what the mind is presenting. Mind cannot know the reality. There is no way. Mind is a step down frequency. So it can't turn around to know the high frequency. But high frequency knows the mind, knows all the step down things. So thank you anyway.
My question is, does karma exist? And if so, do we reap what we sow? Because sometimes when you look at the world, you could see somebody who is doing a lot of bad things, and that person seems to prosper. Whereas those who are doing good in our side, those people seem to suffer. So if there's karma, how come people who are doing bad things sometimes in our eyes seem to prosper, whereas the opposite is true? Yeah.
The law of action and reaction is a universal law, but there are things within it which are not explored, and I will throw light on it for you. You see, the frequency level, that is how much externalized you have become, how much outward bound you have become, how far you have gone. If you commit something, it's an action and it will attract a reaction. But just before the reaction strikes, if you pull into another frequency, that thing is nullified. It holds until if you return to that frequency, then it will strike. So we have, we can put it in 3 stages. Closer to the self-realization, the God realization, if you want, that state, closer to it, let us call it the mode of goodness. Then the next, in that order, we can call it this, the stage of, or the mode of push. And far away, when we are absorbed far away, we call it mode of ignorance. See? Now these 3 modes, if somebody is in the ignorance mode and he commits something, he does something, if the reaction is coming, it comes only in that zone. So if he moves from there to the mode of passion, that thing will stay put. It cannot happen on the person. When he returns into the mode of ignorance, then the reaction strikes. I hope you understand. So if you move from, or you do something in the mode of passion, and you move away from passion to goodness, the reaction is suspended. And if you stay in mode of goodness the whole of your life, that thing is nullified because it cannot get you. You see, this aspect of the karma is not explained anywhere, but that is the truth. So, in fact, you may not know the present mode you are in. You may not know what is seeking to happen. But if you change your frequency, that thing misses you or sort of gets held, suspended. For example, you are under this table, you kick a ball to the wall straight. It will come back straight down there. But before it comes, I jump onto the table here. It will come back. I'm not there. I'm not there. You see. So karma, the way people make it like there's no way about it. Yes, reaction is exact, but that principle to nullify it is to raise your spiritual frequency. You see, once you raise it, a lot of things are nullified. So that is something I want to share with you. See, the law is really true. It's just like the echo. When you make some noise and the echo, it can bring it back. You see, and that's how the law of karma is working. But the way people explain it, there are a lot of shortcomings, and then the reality is that where you stand and you did it, it will come there. I'm talking of frequency-wise. if you change, it will not happen. Yeah.
My follow-up question is this. If, for instance, somebody has done something and that person is, let's say, frequency A, and if, like, that person doesn't get the reaction in this life, like, he doesn't get the punishment that she deserves in this life, is it possible that when that person comes back again, he will face it? And if so, is that the reason why sometimes maybe somebody can give birth to a child? That child is innocent, and yet something deadly has happened to that child. And I think there was a story in the Bible where they said that this person who is blind, is it the father or I know the creator know all things. Why must somebody suffer before his glory will shine?
When you leave the body and you decide, whether you know it or not, a part of you knows past, present, future. That is what makes it a drama. The sub side, the subconscious, the part which is close to the spirit, the self. You see, the zone close to the self has awareness, is having clarity about things. But beyond that, there is the clouding. Now you commit something, and the next life, before the reaction comes, you leave the body. It is universal justice. It is yours. It seeks you. The reaction seeks you. You see. Now, when you come back, there is a period. When you leave, there is a period that all these things flash through your experience. Because when you release the grosser side, then your awareness expands a bit. So you see all these things. And that is also something that gives you a desire to bring changes. So sometimes you take birth in a circumstance where you can overcome that. But initially, when you come, there will be clues of what went on in the past. And that may be indicated in the scene that maybe one is maybe crippled or blind from childhood or something. Nothing happens for no reason, but the causes are remote, sometimes very remote causes. So when one comes and now mind comes in again, then if he chooses, if he's really determined to change lifestyle, then he'll be able to avoid further reactions. See, but initially, mind has not entered. So the thing is fashioned according to when he left the other time. So that is why the baby may have all these complications. But when mind comes in and one can sort of take a new lifestyle that is good, then he can change the situation. There may be further reactions planned for him because of many things he did, but a lot of them will be placed aside because of the new lifestyle. But if he enters into more complications, then things will be worsened for him. The power of choice is is something that they put in us. In fact, evolution is so natural, it's going on with the animals, with everything, the plants, but at the human level, there is choice. You've reached somewhere, you can slow it down, you can speed it up, and that is what the choice can do. See? Yeah.
My one is regarding to the books and the spiritual awareness as well. I'm a student, and I don't know whether it's a problem or not. When I'm in the shower, and I can write the full book in my head under the shower. And when I'm alone, I start driving because my profession is driving. I'm alone, something comes to my head, maybe I'm recording what I'm thinking, but as soon as I come out, everything disappears. As we're talking, I can understand everything without even explaining. Something I can understand without know how to explain it. I don't know what is that. Thank you.
See, we have, like I was talking about the spectrum, that is, you see how the rainbow has colors in a spectrum, layer after layer, you know, and our consciousness is these same layers. When it comes to the step down, when it's stepping down, the very first layer is super conscious, followed by subconscious, followed by objective consciousness. So these three states are there. Now, when we are too outward bound, we are using the objective mind. And we have some, I'll put it like ratio. Sometimes we are using the objective mind in a very high percentage at the expense of the others. The subconscious, we keep it sub. That's why it's called subconscious. You know, it's under. We are not allowing it to surface. See? But when you are actually evolving, evolution actually means increasing the inner frequencies, allowing it to express more than the objective mind. When it is like that, you are growing. That is the meaning of evolution. So more and more the subconscious will be coming up. And sometimes when it is coming like that, you become very intuitive. You see, that's why we say intuition. It guides you from inside. You see, and you don't depend too much on the objective mind. See? Then when you advance more, then the subconscious shines forward. And that is the closest mind to the self. The self is the highest frequency. And then step one, when it steps down first, it is superconscious mind. Second, like that. See? So because you've been practicing, the subconscious is seeking to come forward. But there are certain clouding inside it. The clouding is due to the emotions. You haven't completed the balancing of the emotions. That is why the subconscious is not fully coming. But it shows itself signs that some breakthrough is there. Like you see, when the sun is there and the clouds come to cover, darkness can come. They to cast darkness. But when there is some open in the cloud, then you see the light shoot out. See, so sometimes the subconscious comes out like that and gives you some hunch or gives you some, because subconscious is an expanded mind. As I said in the beginning, when you are getting back to source, everything is expanding. Love is expanding, peace is expanding, joy is expanding, everything. So for that matter, it has very powerful rays, radiation. Objective mind is very weak mind. It doesn't know much, and it is using the senses to know, the 5 senses. So it is always on the jump because it doesn't know, it's looking to know. But subconscious knows already all those things that the objective mind is looking for. See? So occasionally you can have certain experiences showing that, but it's inner things from the subconscious. It's encouraging. When it is like that, you keep on. Don't be distracted, don't be afraid, don't be worried. You're in the right direction.
My question was a follow-up from what Dennis was asking, because Dennis saying if you die, you come back. Because I know not a lot of that means. So my question is reincarnation, because that's exactly what Dennis has said. Is there reincarnation? Because some people believe that they are in this world, they've just come, they live their life, they do good or whatever, when they die, that is it, it's ended. So is there reincarnation? And if it's there, then
The topic of reincarnation is also misunderstood a lot, just as that of karma. You see, there is only one spirit, not two, not three, and how that spirit is expressing itself. I gave you the example of the earth. Earth is one, but plants are coming out of it. But essentially, if you are to go far away into the sky and you look down, you see earth only. Even the human forms and those, you don't see. Very far away, just like the way we see the moon, we see the sun. We only say earth, not earth plus trees, earth plus living entities. We don't see it that way. See? So spirit is spirit, and that is the only thing. And the other things are projections, which will, in the long run, through evolution, they will all get absorbed. Whenever somebody leaves the world, as you back off and you are getting closer and closer to spirit, then in fact the various layers that we pick in this world, I've told you in some of my lessons. Altogether, we have 7 layers. And very first layer is the grossest layer, the physical, followed by the etheric layer, then the vital layer, then the so-called popular astral layer, people talk about, and then we have the lower mind layer. That means a portion of the mind which is closest to the material side, which is the outer side. And then the higher mind, which is also closer to spirit. And the 7 layers when we leave the body, depending on our level of realization or evolution, you may drop just the outer one if one is not evolved. If you have evolved a little bit, you drop and you go along with 5 layers. You are still in the zone, the outward zone. If you evolve more, you drop like 3 or 4 of those layers when you leave the body. You are nearing where you will be freed fully, and then you re-enter your source. You have to pure spirit, and then you are going to merge into the totality of things. You can even see the same when the tree, let's use the word dies. The tree in the long run is oriented the earth. So all the projections have to go back to their source. And it becomes earth. You see? Now, the reincarnation process happens to be there because where you have reached, and let's say you dropped 3 layers, you still have another 4 layers. Now, you are still in the zone. You see, you are still within the zone. Let's call it a prison. You are still within the prison yard. Only your time to leave the prison is fewer. Is smaller, you know, and those who are having life sentence, they are the ones far away, deep into things. Anyway, so one comes back to finish out the assignment. You are awakening. The awakening is not total, so you come back to have a way to do it again. So this is what goes on, and it brings about reincarnation. In any case, if one is a new lifestyle, by the time he's leaving the body, he can drop more of the layers than he had before. It's just like how you jump to reach something. You reach, you jump, and you don't reach, you come back. Then you jump again. Then if you don't reach, you come back. Then you jump higher. See, until finally you jump. You are capable of doing it, and then you finish out. And you get what you have to reach your destination. So there is reincarnation, but it has to be properly understood because it's not that everybody reincarnates in the same manner. And the reason why some has to appear places where they have more opportunity to sort of relinquish, where they have the lifestyle, they can relinquish more of the layers, is because of the previous situation. So we can change from place to place based on where we reach in our previous incarnation. Yeah.
She asked a question, heaven or hell, and then you went to the kingdom of heaven. Sorry, my question. My name is Michael. If there is a kingdom, then there must, of a necessity, be a king. And if the kingdom of God is within us, then the king of that kingdom must be God. And if the kingdom of God is within us, who is this king of this kingdom then that is within us?
The most powerful statement, which is difficult for people to believe, is that you are the God. See, the lower frequencies are your subjects, and their energies they step down from you, and for that matter, you are just witnessing the whole thing, and you are so powerful. You can call things to order. You can decree things to change. See, so the low frequencies, they are under your control. Therefore, you are the king. You see, such understanding dawns on you as you get closer and closer into self-realization. And you realize, that's why initially I mentioned that when you have that realization, then you share the same core with all the other people. And that automatically makes you love everyone. You see, and it gives you compassion when they are suffering. Sometimes you see that it's your own self, in a sense. You see, so truly speaking, this is what in the time of Christ, this is what the people didn't want to hear, because they couldn't imagine, if you are God, you are suffering, and there must be the one perfect out there. No, so we never heard this. And so he had to, then he said to his own disciples in John 16 verse 12, I have a lot more to tell you, but you are not ready to hear. He said this, just because certain things, unless you grow, then you reach it. But if you want to use the mind to understand it, it is the spirit that understands it. So when mind has rather gone down, then that is clear, that truth, that you are God. So this is for realization, not for the mind to understand. See, food is to be eaten, water is to be drunk, truth is to be realized. See, it is not mental. Sometimes people think truth is to be known. No, truth is to be realized. It's not to be known. It's not mental at all. It's not within the zone of mind. So when the realization comes, then nobody has to tell you you are God. It is just there.
Truth is to be realized. Never heard it before, but it makes beautiful sense. And he's right. We always thought through truth was to be known, but truth is to be realized. It's so profound. And when you have realized it, you don't have to read it. Nobody has to tell you. You just realize it. Thank you, sir.
Hi, I'm Tom. Since we have a bit more time, can you tell us a little bit more about your idea around subconscious and the link to the past and the future?
Yes. Subconscious is attributes includes, let me call it, storage of information. So all past is known. All past in the universe is known. The objective mind tries to know everything in your body. What you feel here, what you feel there, and all that. But subconscious knows everything in the universe. So let's say like the universe is the body, and the subconscious is the mind of that body. It knows everything inside. Superconscious has the universe within it. So it can even know many universes. That is superconscious. So awareness of the subconscious, anytime you are forgetting something, what it means is that the objective mind doesn't have the capacity to know anything what just passed. But subconscious knows it. So when you become a little still, then subconscious gives you. It comes from the subconscious. So memory, as we call it, is actually a function of the subconscious. The objective mind is obsessed with things going on, and it tries to go into the past, tries to go into the future, but it always has difficulty. It is limited how much it can know of the past, how much it can know of the future. But subconscious is not limited in that way. So the future, the past, they are all known. That is why it is a drama. On the objective side, that is the lower frequency side, we have and everything, even a second is expanded. For you to make it like a whole life. But to the superconscious side, it is just a flash. See? So our whole life, just expansion, so that we can really have a drama going on. But the whole drama from A to Z is just like a flash of something to the superconscious side. Therefore, all is known. Let me give you some examples, maybe those of you who are watching football and all that, you could see during one of the World Cups, the tournament, people could not tell who or when, and they were anxious. But that is the drama. You see, the objective mind has been made in such a way that it is powerless. It is so outward bound that it has lost touch with the source of power. So it doesn't know this game who or when. And then people had this wonderful octopus. Maybe we know that story. And the octopus, they will set it loose, and who will win, and it will go and pick the one which will win. And they play the game, and that is the one who won. You see, because the sub knows all. It is known. So any creature who is not using much of the objective mind can have access to some extent of the subjective, of the subconscious. So, when you want to remember something, no matter how you fret with your mind, you're not getting it, you slow down, and then the answer comes into your mind. So it is the soul which gives it to you. It knows it. The subconscious records everything that is going on. If right now you look at the sun and then you close your eyes, the subconscious will give you a recorded version immediately, you see. So it's like you stop seeing, but then you can still see the sun. So subconscious is an amazing mind, knows past, present, future. And it stores information as the drama unfolds. It keeps records. So essentially, that's how the subconscious works.
So from now on, should we be saying the truth that you realize is that which will set you free? Yeah. Thank you. Any more questions?
I think there has been a lot of drama going on about God and Satan fighting battles here and there. A war broke out in heaven, and God decided to, send Satan down. And he said, the people of the earth, woe unto you, because the enemy is here with you. My question is, how can a God who created, the universe, will create an enemy for himself?
There is no enemy of God. It belittles God. You see, the self that we're talking about carries, I think the other day I was explaining the steps, how intelligence, the mind, the higher mind has intelligence. So everything is woven out of the low frequency and special orderly arrangement. And it has a lot of laws which are functioning to get things moving. In fact, it's a misunderstanding, but those theories, they belong to, let me say it, elementary religion. You see, they are old religion, and we need to grow out of it. Religion, the word religion means relinking. It is religio from Latin, you see, relinking to the source. And the process had to begin with those various experiences in the low frequency. Because in the low frequency, we have those who are slightly ahead of others, and like we have the chieftaincy and all those kind of things, because frequency-wise, those who become heads, it's not ordinary arrangement, it's frequency that puts them there. And it makes us think that God, who is the source of everything, must be like that also, and he needs worship. He has to be worshipped and all that. In fact, the perfection in the requires nothing because everything is fully expanded. It's fully expanded. Joy is fully expanded. So it's not looking for joy in the low frequency. You see, but the part of that great spirit that is involving, just a small bit, involving in these low frequencies, gets confused and turns around to seek the source. But instead of turning around, is seeking it within it. Therefore, the forms is seen inside superimposed. You see, they become like the goggles you wear, and if the color is yellow, you look here, it's yellow. If it is red, you look here, it's red, unless you take it off. So these elements covering the spirit is giving us all these kind of perceptions, and then we draw conclusions that God is out there, and those things giving us problems here. Must be some creature who is terrible, you see, and God is great, yes. God is nice, yes. God is good, yes. That creature, it is the opposite. It is the one who is making us suffer, you know. But all these things are unfounded. But the truth is that whatever you project, it becomes your goggles. And really, you can interpret everything to conform to what you are seeing with your goggles. You see, there was this thing I was explaining, and a journalist gave some experience. He said they went for a funeral, and it was bright. The sun was in the sky, and there was this man wearing dark glasses. And at a point he said, yeah, the way the rain wants to fall, it wants to destroy the funeral activity. And then the people were saying, what rain? He said, see everywhere dark. Now, then he said, what? Nowhere is dark. Not knowing his glasses. His glasses is telling him the clouds are everywhere, so it's going to rain. When it was removed, they said, oh, there's no clouds. You see? So it's like that. The lower frequencies, they become our goggles, and we use it to interpret things so many ways. But essentially, when you realize yourself, there's no Satan anywhere. There's no Satan anywhere. It's just low frequencies woven together to take forms here and there. See, people are so confused, and they create these dogmas and all kind of things. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for coming. If no one else has anything, I heard you were almost clapping when the doctor said there is no devil anywhere. Thank you for coming.